What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Advantage Player Workshop. Today's video is going to be about the mental game and what it takes to be a successful player over the long haul. Before we do that, we want to give a big shout out to Jesse and his buddy Rich. That was his picture of his chip rack he submitted to us. It's in the thumbnail. He just hit the all tall small bonus in the Chicagoland area, so kudos to Rich. And thanks to Jesse for being one of our first members and all he's done. Hope to meet up with you guys very soon. But before we get into it, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, the people who have been with us from the beginning. We started back in November 20th was the date of our first video post. And we've been pretty busy trying to get all of our videos up. And we're just trying to provide good quality content for the craps community and any other gamblers who are interested in the game, taking up the game. So obviously, if you've seen any of the videos, we spent a lot of time on all of the technical stuff, the dice control, the throw, the practice, and the betting. We're trying to do a variety of different topics, and we're trying to keep everything original. And we're not trying to steal from other people or, copy something somebody else has already done. So if we're doing something somebody else has already done, we apologize. We're trying to just offer a unique take and keep it real and keep it fresh. We just don't want to be unoriginal is all. But I want to say thank you to everybody. And we've recently unlocked a few things on our channel. So if you like our channel, you want to support us and help us grow and improve our production and our setup and all these things, you can join for a small monthly membership, or you can just simply give us a super thanks. The button is right there in the bottom, right there. It's to the right, just underneath the title. So you could give us a small tip of $2, as much as $500. Not that I expect anybody to give us that much, but if you want to show a little support, maybe we'll put it towards a full-size craps table. I'm sure anybody who's a fan of the channel probably gets tired of seeing me bounce the dice off the table. We've had a full table at one time. It took up too much room, as I've said, and we just cut it down to the rig. It's much more convenient and easier to use. But who knows? Maybe we'll add a bigger one at some point. And any support we can get along the way we put it towards that. So we really appreciate it. Before we get into the game, we're just showing you a roll session we had here. Nothing noteworthy. We did roll 30 times on one of the shooters. We had 5 shooters. The 4 of them were terrible. And as you can see, my dice were not very consistent. So, if you had to ask me what I thought my level of control was today, wasn't very good. But even still, whether the controlling had anything to do with it, we still had a 30 roll turn. And that's just typical. Most of my rolls last far longer than 2, 4, 5, and 2. And they're not all as great as 30. But it's a mixed bag. It's just what you deal with. But it's also the natural cycle of a session, right? Like I said in many videos, we plan to see the dice 5 times. 4 to 6 times really is how many times we'd like to get the dice. And we know that, at least a couple of them are going to be very good. And we're really just hoping to turn 1 or 2 of them into a really great roll. And whether that has anything to do with dice control or not, when you get the dice 5 times or so. And the faster you can get them back, the better your chances are of going on a long roll. The longer you standing still, waiting for the dice, the less chance you had to get into a nice rhythm and hit that nice long roll. And all you need is that one. So even if you don't think dice control is real, but you still want to practice, it can't hurt you, as we all said. And that's what we suggest. But back to the mental game. Like I said many times, you're thinking about the game in 2 ways, right? When you have the dice, when you don't have the dice. And when I don't have the dice, I'm thinking about all the bets, the strategies, up and down. How much am I up? How much am I down? How much am I at risk? All of those things come into play, right? I keep my mind busy. I'm paying attention to everything I can possibly watch. Who else is at the table? Do we have any other controllers or people attempting a controlled throw? Are people winning? Are they losing? What's the energy like? Are you having fun? Because it is entertainment, right? It's supposed to be fun. That's why we do it. I don't know a lot of professional craps players. I'm not a professional craps player, even though I spend far more time practicing it than if it was just a hobby. But it's just a passion of mine. And so when you do it, it's meant to be fun. And, and that's how it needs to be treated. And so when you don't have the dice, right, keep yourself engaged in the game so that way you're not missing anything. Whatever strategy you're using or a handful of strategies you use, you need to know them all like the back of your hand so that you're making the proper decision without, not changing it up and down based on the outcome necessarily, because you don't want the emotional swings to to cloud your judgment to where you're not making the appropriate or the correct decision based on what you set out to do, your goals are, etc. You have to have a winning mindset that you're going to come out a winner. Don't lose too much early on. Keep your powder dry. Let the game unfold, and just wait for that nice long roll, whether it be yours or someone else's. Of course, we love it when someone else has a long roll and we win a bunch of money on theirs. It was like getting it's like getting paid for a day off. And that's kind of how I like to look at it. But you got to avoid the mental traps. You don't want to be chasing your losses if you get down early. And by being able to kind of remove yourself from the emotional swings of it, it helps you make the right decision in real time without any, without any mistakes, and making, betting too big or betting too little. You want to bet the appropriate amount based on what you set out to do and what you're trying to win. And, positive thinking, visualization, you need to imagine yourself having a successful session, a successful roll, a successful throw, one after another. And, repeat positive thoughts and keep your mental state, positive. Don't be, if you think you're going to lose, you should not be playing. Something else is probably bothering you, and you need to remove those things from your thoughts before you even start to play. And you need to believe. You have to have the power of belief. It's going to build confidence, and you're going to be a better all-around player when you're in the right mental state. But also, it's also about the camaraderie, as we all know. That's why a lot of us play. We love hitting the hard 10 when everybody at the table is on the hard 10 and the crowd goes wild and all the high fives and all that. That's part of the game. And you need to enjoy that. You need to relish in that part of it. And that's what you're there for. You're not there to ridicule other players or tell them they're not doing it right, or they need to be playing this way or that way. Leave other people alone. Observe what they're doing without comment. Unless somebody specifically asks you for how you do something and you feel like taking the time to explain it to them, just enjoy being at a table with hopefully some friends, or even if you don't know anybody, just enjoy being there, and you're just sitting there waiting for a good roll, which is coming. It's coming. A good roll will happen, and you're going to be positioned financially and ready to go when it does. And, because winning at craps can be done in a multitude of ways. It's more than just rolling a bunch of numbers, right? It's making the right bets, the right decisions based on what you set out to do, and no matter what the numbers are. Right? Because you're prepared for when it's a choppy table. You're prepared for when it's a hot table. You're also prepared for when it's a cold table. And you should know all those things. And that's not what this video is about, but understand that those three dynamics at minimum, there's probably more, but those three dynamics of the game type or game situations are going to happen to you, and you're prepared and you're not concerned about it. It's just another roll, another shooter, pass the dice. Let's move on to the next one. We'll see what happens. So it's really about mastering your emotions, controlling your impulses, making intelligent choices. And that all comes from, thoughts about the game, away from the game, observing in the game, and knowing, what steps to take depending on what's happening in that moment, and stay in the moment. Don't worry about what happened yesterday. Don't worry about what's going to happen in an hour from now. Just enjoy it for what it is, and good things will happen. And that's really the biggest part of the mental game. And let's talk about what I'm thinking about when I get the dice. So when I don't have the dice, as I mentioned, I'm thinking about all the different bets and up and down based on, my ratios and percentages of risk and all those things. Obviously when I'm winning, I'm a lot riskier. When I'm either close to even or down, I'm a lot more conservative. I'm playing it a lot like poker. It's press it when you got the best of it, protect it when you don't. And that really is all relative to your bankroll, really. I mean, how much are you up? That's when you can you freewheel a little bit, take more chances. And when things aren't going your way for whatever reason, be more defensive. Don't chase it. Just let it happen. Let it come to you. But when I have the dice, right, I pretty much forget about everything involved in the actual gameplay aspect. All I'm thinking about are my mechanics, repeating the same motion if it's a good one, if things are going well and I'm hitting my spot or the dice are reacting the way that I like, and I'm starting to see a little consistency in my throw first, right? And I'm getting a good result. I'm hitting the same number or same group of numbers in tight windows. That's when my edge has now the window has opened for me to have an edge. So if one was to ever have an edge based on their own throw, right? Whether it be influence, control, whatever, I think we can all agree that's the time when you're comfortable, you're repeating the things that you're doing, you're getting good outcomes, and that's now you have the comfort level to feel that you've checked off all the boxes, and now you can justify raising your bet a little bit based on what you're trying to do with the dice. You could always raise and lower your bet when somebody else doesn't, based on how much you're winning or losing. You could do that, of course, but I'm talking about when you have the dice. Whatever unit level I was at when I started the roll, assuming it's the level I want to be at, for me is the $100 unit level per number. I want to have at least about $500 total out there on the numbers. Now, whether I'm playing every single number or I'm playing half the board, I want to at least have the numbers I'm covering. I want to be at least the $100 level or thereabouts. And when I start my throw, I'm not really raising and lowering my bets. I kind of put all the systems aside. I'm focusing just about repeating my throw. Repeat that action. Repeat that action. Repeat that action. If my throw is still inconsistent in the earlier stages, right? Well, I'm still tweaking and I'm still trying to figure out what I need to do, what I need to change to get it to work. If my throw is right, and my landings are right, but my results are bad, well, now I just need to tweak a couple of dials. I need to either aim a little right, aim a little left, change the set, whatever your methods are, right? You're still tweaking that. But once you're starting to see consistency and positive outcomes and all that, then just get your bets to the unit level you need them at, and then pretty much keep them there during the time you have the dice. That way you can remove all that out of your psyche and you can just be thinking about your mechanics only. And just the only time you should be thinking about your money necessarily is when you bend down to pick up your chips and put it back in your rack. And just keep going and go on for as long as you have. And for anybody that's had a lot of success and gone on multiple deep runs, like that happens to pretty much all of us who attempt dice control. If you've been doing it a while, well, you wouldn't be this far had you not had some really deep runs, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, right? Those don't happen to you frequently if you're not practiced in some way, right? Because you wouldn't be playing that often if you were practicing in some way, probably. And so the only way that you can really go on those deep, super deep runs is if you keep your mind clear and you're not concerned about sevening out or how much you're winning or losing or any of that stuff. Just lose yourself in the moment. And that's what happens to me a lot of the times. When I say I don't really exactly remember, I kind of spaced out, it's because I forgot about all that other part of the game. I'm solely focused on my mechanics only, and I let myself slip into just that, that zone where everything is working, regardless of what number shows up. Everything I'm doing is in control, right? Now, once they leave my hand, whatever happens, happens. The saying at the top of that study, which I absolutely love, was, we throw the dice, but God tells them how to land. And something like that. And that's kind of true. Control everything that you can control, and then leave it up to the craps gods, right? To let you to either bless you with a great session, a great roll, and just forget about it. Forget about the outcomes. Just enjoy that you did everything that you could do. And that's really, for me, what it's really all about. Aside for the betting the numbers you're not on, and if I'm hitting numbers I'm not on, right, of course, my goal is to just get on those numbers. It's not about changing my bets. I try to stay in the moment. And one way that I go about doing that really helps myself is I breathe, I use controlled breaths. I allow myself to slip into it. Getting into the zone is not something that everybody probably knows, but you can't force yourself into it. It's something that you have to allow yourself to slip into. And the best way that you can do it is to just remove all of the thoughts from your brain that have to do with the sevens and the numbers and the money. But allow your senses to be more heightened, right? Hear what everybody is saying, even though you're not really listening, but you're hearing it, right? You know what the smells that you're experiencing. If the guy next to you has got on too much aftershave. If the lady next to you on the other side has got, her hair smells good, whatever. Just allow your senses to become more aware and think about those and what you're smelling, what you're hearing, how you're breathing. And when you distract yourself by thinking about stuff like that versus the actual money up and down and all that part, you'll allow yourself to kind of slip into that zone a little easier. So I really recommend everybody give it a shot and try that out when you're playing, so that you're allowing yourself giving yourself the best possible chance you can to slip into that zone where you're able to repeat your mechanics over and over and over. And that's really what's going to allow you to go on real deep runs like that. And whether you're actually controlling the dice or not, right? Once they've left your hand, that's irrelevant. You're controlling everything that you can control. You're controlling your emotions. You're controlling your thoughts. You're controlling your breath. You're controlling everything before you've let the dice go, right? And that's all it's about. And you understand what you're there for. You understand what your goals are. You're gonna stick to your plan. You're gonna leave when you hit your goal. But it all starts with the mental game. It starts with the right mindset, positive thinking, and having just a good outlook on the game itself, not being upset by somebody that's bothering you at the table or trying to critique other people's games or telling them they're not making the right bets or they need to do this or that. Let them figure that out. Unless somebody comes and asks you specifically for something, and you feel like giving them your thoughts on the matter, right? Just let everybody be. Enjoy the fact that when you're celebrate with everybody when you're winning, don't get too down when you're losing. And there's one last thought I want to say. Whenever the 7 comes, which we all know is inevitable, I want you to try and act as if you didn't even notice. And then when you're doing that, intentionally don't even react. But at the same time, look around at everybody else, how they react when the 7 comes, right? Oh, they slam their chip on the table. And then just kind of chuckle on the inside about how everybody gets that way every time they roll a 7. You can't really help it a lot of times, but if you put some conscious effort into not reacting to it, you'll allow yourself to just have a little bit more Zen-like approach to it whenever it does come. And by having that approach initially, I think you'll be surprised to find how your overall state of mind is just a little bit better prepared for when the swings of the game happen. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. We're almost to the 1,000 subscriber mark. Again, we appreciate everybody that's taking part in our channel, and see you on the next one.